So I don't know if you played the games prior to this TV show being announced, but what kind of went through your head when you realized that you and your character Sarah is in the center of everything at the start of the very first episode?
Oh my God. I was kind of I haven't played the game. I've watched people play the game when I was younger, so I was very aware of how prevalent Sarah is and how kind of in the beginning of the game you are playing as her. And so I was very aware of that. And then I think when I read the first episode, I was like, whoa, those are shoes to fill. Because, it's she is the kind of initially engaging character and, the kind of one of the first things that you see. So I was daunting, admittedly, and I was stressed to some extent. But I think once I got there and we actually started filming, everyone's so lovely and uplifting, and it couldn't have been a more wonderful group of people to work with. And so I think as soon as we started, that kind of initial stress became kind of an afterthought.
Hmm. And how do you kind of find the fear in yourself so that you can act it out believably? Because you're going through a fair amount of that in the first episode.
I think I honestly don't know. Like, I really don't, because I have nothing that is in any way similar. I have no idea where it comes from. Me and Craig would often joke around that weirdly I would find that stuff easier than like anything remotely uplifting or fun. But like the dark, sad scenes is where I would really be like, oh, this is a piece of cake. I don't know. I think because it's not similar to my own life and reality, that I think it was kind of weirdly makes it easier to play around with, because the kind of insecurity of being too kind of myself is put aside and put to one corner. So I think to kind of be able to just have the freedom of just like making it up as I went along was very, very fun.
But I played both the games and they're tremendous. And the death of Sarah, it's such a devastating event in the game. How do you kind of prepare for that moment? Tell me about that day on the set.
I spoke about it a lot with my dad. And I think a lot of our conversations were me just being like, I'm going to do this. I don't know if I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I kind of was working myself up a lot in my head. And then I remember the day of just being like, I'm just not going to think about it and just go into it completely fresh. And if I was genuinely in that circumstance, what would be happening? And there's so much going on, and how would Sarah feel and what would be happening? And then I think prior to actually filming it, me, Pedro, and Craig kind of all stood around where we rehearsed it, and then we were all like right before the first take, we were all just kind of standing there, and it was very quiet that day on set. And I remember it being very quiet because everyone wanted to treat it with the kind of respect that it deserved. And I remember Craig just being like, this is for both of you the most distressing thing that has ever happened in your entire lives. And like he turned to me and he was like, you are in more pain than you have ever been in your entire life. And then he turned to Pedro and said the exact same thing in terms of like emotional, physical, whatever. And I think those words from him, kind of as soon as he said any of it, I was just like, got it. And I kind of just went into it with that, with his words kind of like playing in my head. So hopefully it was executed well. I can't, I'm a terrible judge of myself. I have no idea. Yeah, I think that was kind of what I used to execute it.